Welcome to My First Million. This is a special mini episode of the Own It podcast, where we chat with agents about exactly how they made their first $1 million in selling real estate. Today, we're joined by Ed Barreto from Kinetic Real Estate in San Francisco. He went from selling timeshares to building a $1 million GCI business, all while staying true to his values and roots. We'll dive into his secrets for mastering the open houses, leveraging social media, and balancing a thriving career with global travel. Let's get started.
With open houses, you always want to target weekend 1, weekend 2, and weekend 3, because those open houses are always going to be busy. If you can't find opportunities in terms of finding open houses that are weekend 1, weekend 2, weekend 3, you always want to look for price drops, because every time that something is listed for like 1 million and then they drop the price by 100,000, you know that there's going to be new foot traffic, coming into that door.
Welcome to Own It. I'm Hillary Saunders, joined today by my very handsome co-host, Spencer Kroll. How are you?
I'm great. That's so nice. It's only because I'm wearing a jacket. I'm really excited about today, Hillary. Really, really excited.
I know.
Yeah.
This is a cool part of our special series, How I Made My First Million. And we are talking to, I think, one of the most inspirational people that I've ever met, Ed Barreto. How are you? Joining us all the way from the Philippines at 2 a.m. just because we're amazing. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Hi, Spencer and Hillary. It's so great to be with you guys. Super excited. Yes, I'm on vacation in the Philippines. It's 2 a.m. here, but I would not miss the opportunity to chat with you awesome people.
I think it's really important to explain what you're actually doing on this, why you're in the Philippines, like what this vacation is, because that's the amazing thing that hitting your goal allowed you to do. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah. So, you guys, this is my third year in residential real estate. And doing what I'm doing now is something that I wouldn't have been able to do in year one, but it's kind of something that I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this crazy remote year thing. So July 2024 up until June 2025, I'm actually doing this remote year where I'm in the Bay Area 9 to 10 days out of the month. And then 20 days I'm traveling, spending 1 week in Hawaii and then traveling the world. So my goal is to hit 30 countries, but it's nice that I've been able to set systems and processes to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm excited. So I'm in the Philippines now. This is country number 9. I have 21 to go and 8 months left.
This is an amazing goal. So before we get into goal setting and kind of how that came about, I want to go kind of real quickly just back into one, why did you decide to make a shift from selling timeshares and your previous life into selling residential real estate? What was that push that sent you over the edge to just dive right into residential real estate?
Exactly. You know the story, and I've shared this in several interviews. So I was actually really loving what I was doing at Travel and Leisure. I needed a real estate license in order to sell timeshares here in California, did really, really well. And I've shared this, not to brag, but like in 2019 was like my pinnacle year. I W-2'd like 790,000. And I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to retire here and I'm going to be here forever. And obviously the crazy pandemic hit in 2020. And so our sales office closed and I tried so many things, you guys. Like I went to law school for a year, did well there. I ended up doing tech sales with Salesforce. And then I realized that, hey, like the ROI isn't here. I have a real estate license, so why not just give it a shot? So I remember September 2021, I DM'd Kevin Cruz, who's the founder of Kinetic Real Estate, a really good friend of mine, and he's one of my mentors. And I said, hey, I have a real estate license and I want to, try this out. I think I could be good at it. And I did 2 deals in 1 month. And I quit. I said, I'm just going to go all in full time. And now I'm here. So yeah. And I've loved it. This is my 3rd year in residential real estate. And it's been an amazing journey so far.
And 3 years in, and you've already hit 1 million GCI, which I find absolutely. I was looking at your thing, and it said, that you started in what was it, October of 2021, going full time. You did 10 escrows in 1 month, And that you're saying that was like your I can do it. How were you getting? Were you door knocking? Were you extorting people? What were
Where
you
did
doing?
the clients come from?
Yeah, how did you get these clients, man? How did you do this?
Yeah. So the aha moment for me, I was like, so in the office, it's like, Ed, like this has never been done. This is crazy. So I started October. That's when I onboarded with Kinetic, and that was in 2021. And in Feb 2022, that month of February alone, I was able to do 10 escrows. And in my heart, that's I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to be here forever. I'm going to do real estate forever. I could do this. And I could get to a point in where I'm GCIing or making $1 million in real estate in 1 year. So my first year, a lot of my business was open houses. I made sure, I think I was doing like 12 open house shifts a month because that was a big bulk of my business. And then Zillow, because Kinetic is a part of the Zillow Flex program, and SOI and referrals. So that's what I made sure I mastered my first year.
So 12 open houses a month. Let's call that 3 a week. So
Yeah.
are you doing 2 on a Saturday or Sunday, or is that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, different open houses, different neighborhoods? How are you deciding which ones you're doing?
Yeah. So with open houses, I was and I teach this as one of the coaches for Side, Level Up Real Estate Consulting. I teach them that it's like, hey, your first year in real estate, you want to master online leads, and you want to master open houses, and you want to master SOI. So I had non-negotiables my first year. Obviously now it's different because, scaling and, your business will evolve and change. But my first year, I had a non-negotiable to say, hey, Ed, in the beginning of the month, if you commit to doing 12 open houses, you're not going to stop until you do those 12 open houses. And I always made sure that, if you have to do 13 shifts or 14 shifts until you get those 20 A, B, and C leads, you're going to do more open houses until you get those 20 A, B, and C leads. But yeah, usually I started, and I train on this as well. I usually start with open house opportunities within the team. And if I've exhausted that, then Side has a great platform. We have a great network that will allow us to find open house opportunities within the Side platform as well. And if I've exhausted that, then I'm going to reach out to agents from, other brokerages to see if they, have the ability for me to host open houses for them.
Wow.
Open house. Wait, I keep going down this rabbit hole. Sorry.
Yeah.
Open houses. Are you considering, or does it matter if it's a new listing versus a price drop versus a stale listing? Are you categorizing them or focusing even farther down than just, it's 123 Main Street? That's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Is there a strategy?
It's so funny because I have a whole session on this with Level Up, and now I have the opportunity to coach other Side agents, and I could go 2 hours on this, but I'm not. I'll give you the quick version. So with open houses, you always want to target weekend 1, weekend 2, and weekend 3, because those open houses are always going to be busy, right? And then if you can't find opportunities in terms of finding open houses that are weekend 1, weekend 2, weekend 3, you always want to look for price drops, because every time that something is listed for like 1 million and then they drop the price by 100,000, that there's going to be new foot traffic, coming into that door. So that was like the second, priority as well. And then for me, I focused on neighborhoods that I was really familiar with. So I love, for example, right now, a lot of my business is in the South Bay and Peninsula, but I grew up in this area in the South Bay called Berryessa. So back then I was always trying to find opportunities there as well. So if there was, and you want to look for holes, right? So for example, if you're trying to find open house opportunities and you want to cold call, because in real estate, there's something called business to business as well. When you're building partnerships with other, agents, that's a business to business partnership. So if an agent gives me the opportunity to host open house for them, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to nurture that relationship, and I'm going to make sure that I do a good job. And what I'll do before, it's like I go to Zillow and I find out, they're not doing open houses on a Friday, and I see that their open houses is only Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 2. I'm going to reach out and I'm going to say, hey, do you need somebody to host Friday evening? Or I know that there's already 12 to 2. Do you want me to host for you 10 to 12 or 2 to 4? I think a lot of agents, sometimes when I coach, a lot of agents will say, oh, like I go to open houses or I try to do open houses because that's what I'm told. But sometimes I go to open houses and nobody will come. But there's strategy involved with that. And you just got to keep going until you get better with mastering lead gen at open house and then conversion.
That's what I wanted to follow up on is,
Yeah.
I mean, I did a ton of open houses, and maybe I'd pick up 1 or 2 clients over the course of a listing. And I was like, yeah, I got 2 clients, from these open houses. Yeah. What do you do? I mean, again, I'm just shocked. Like, how are you? Because the fact that open house is like a huge thing for you. What's your strategy there?
For sure. I think open houses is 2 parts. So my first full year, I was able to close. So my first full year, I did 51 transactions. And I humbly say that, but 14 of those transactions were open houses, right? Mm-hmm. So year 1, you do 4. I say this thing, guys. I've always told people that if you put a good agent somewhere, anywhere in the US, and they don't have SOI and they don't have open house leads, they don't have Zillow leads, like they can't buy from Zillow, there is probably an agent out there who is doing $800K in GCI just with open house alone. Because open house is a 2-step process. You master the ability to get open house opportunities and you master the ability to generate leads. And then once you master that, you master converting those leads. So I think with open houses, you just have to stick to the process with what you do before the open house, what you're doing when you're hosting open house, and what you're doing after. It's all about systems and processes and just continuing to sharpen the saw when it comes to your conversion skills with open house.
Yeah, the conversion, I guess, is the toughest part because, people were like, oh, I have an agent or, no need to call me or something like that. So obviously you've honed this. How much is your sphere of influence also then? Because you have the open houses is one thing, and you mentioned your sphere of influence a few times.
Yeah, my sphere of influence. So year 1, out of those 50, I would say that 51, I would say that 50% came from SOI and referrals. Mm-hmm. 25% was Zillow, and then 25% was open house. But a lot of my business actually came from sphere of influence and referrals. And I say this, that when you're a new agent, just the reality of it is your sphere of influence and your network is watching you. They might not be your first couple of sales. Well, they will be for some people, but sometimes they're thinking like, oh, shoot, this person or this family member that I know is new to real estate. Can they actually perform for me? So it's so important to be big on social media. I had a whole cadence in year 1. Every time I got into contract, I will make sure the world knows. I'll put it on social media because I know that my network is watching. Every time that I sold, I do a video, you put that on social media as well. You do behind the scenes because they just want to know that you're committed to the profession before they trust and work with you. But for me, fortunately, I would say that starting in month 3, my first sale was actually, we did a sponsorship for a concert at a Seafood City supermarket. So that was my first deal. My first couple of deals was actually not SOI and referrals. It was open house, Zillow. And then once I started to master those, then I realized that my SOI and referrals were now like trusting me and going to me. It's like, wow, he could actually do this. But yes, that was still a big part of my business as well. So you want to make sure that you want to focus on your family and friends, but that's a lead source. But as I always, when I coach, like lead source is one thing, but entry is another thing. And you want to pay attention to how your SOI is funneling in. And for me, it was social media. Mm-hmm. So I may have gotten 25 deals on SOI and referrals, but only 4 of those was because of like, hey, Ed, like I know that you're a realtor now, and like I have a referral for you. But I would say that 20 of those actually came in through Instagram DMs. So fortunately, I already had like, I think like 1,000 followers when I went into real estate. So I did have a pretty big SOI. Um, but it's nice to know that it's like, man, like people that I've known from 10, 15 years ago DMing me say, hey, I love what you're doing in the industry. Like I'm actually looking to buy and sell, or I know somebody that I want to refer you to.
So for a new starting out newish agent, right? Budget is top of mind. Like they don't
Yeah.
have money to spend to buy leads unless they're a part of a team who already kind of buys leads. But
Yeah.
if somebody's starting out and social media is free unless you're paying for ads. So what tips, like pick three, how can they grow their audience?
Yeah.
What cadence should they be publishing, a video or a photo or a commentary? And then should they be targeting a particular client, so ideal client profile?
Yeah, yeah. I love this topic. So when I coach, I show this thing called a social media tracker. And I always tell my students with Level Up, I've had the opportunity to coach 40 agents now. And when I started Level Up Real Estate Consulting in March. So I give them this tracker and I say that you guys, this is your tracker and you have to set your non-negotiables, right? So in that tracker, it's pretty much like if you say that you are going to post 20 times in 1 month, that's your metric. You're going to post 20 times in 1 month. And I actually show them like variety in posts is really important. I wish I could, maybe I'll send the tracker to you guys. Like I have it where like one column is the description of the post. It could be like behind the scenes at 123 Main Street. And number two could be like Ed taking the train, because it's not all about real estate. I feel like if you're the agent and all of your posts are real estate related, people want to work with you because they like you. So for me, it was more like 60-40. 60% of my posts was real estate and 40% was personal. So in that tracker, you also had like, format, right? So pay attention to your diversity of format. Are you doing like a photo carousel? Are you doing a reel, or are you doing just one picture post, right? And then another one would be pillars, right? So you have to really identify what your pillars are as an agent. So for me, my pillars was number one, real estate, number two, family, number three, travel, right? Number four, wellness, health and fitness. Number five, consulting, Level Up Real Estate Consulting, right? So my pillars are going to be different from your pillars. So whatever, your pillars are, just make sure that there's variety and that you're really showing your true self on social media. And format type is even different. Like there's behind the scenes, right? There's interviews, there's skits. But I think variety and format is important. But my main core to all of this is just be yourself on social media, show what you love outside of real estate. Of course, post about real estate too. And when you say that, like, hey, Ed gave me this tracker and he said that if I have bandwidth to post 10 times, then I'm going to post 10 times. And that's the commitment that I'm going to follow.
Wow. Yeah.
And we'll get that tracker from you and we'll link it in the show notes, because that's a huge takeaway. And I think a gateway to really being able to, one, track your commitment, and two, see the return. I wanted to ask real quick, sorry, Spencer, to interrupt, but you identified a sweet spot for like an ideal client. And when we were kind of pre-showing this, it came out that you have a sweet spot for first-time home buyers. And I think I'd love you just to touch on why that's so important to you and what that means, for you personally, and as child of immigrants. And that's just such a sweet spot, because first-time home buyers typically are a harder client than someone who's, done this before. So one, why did you pick that group of people, and why does that keep you inspired?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great question. So when I was new, I was very macro. I always give this advice that when you're new, it's kind of interesting. Like You don't want to be the new agent that says, oh, I just do listings, or oh, I just service the San Mateo region. I think you should actually go macro. Like for me, I positioned myself as, hey, I'm Ed. An amazing realtor. I'm a great negotiator. Anywhere in the Bay Area, I will service. If you need me to drive to Modesto in year one, I will drive to Modesto. Shoot, I'll even go to Bakersfield to service you. I'm going to learn it. I'll go anywhere in California as long as I'm licensed there. But for me, first-time home buyers is really the heart of real estate. It's why I love what I do. Growing up, to be quite frank, I grew up for 10 years. It was my dad and I here first in 1996. And then my mom followed, my siblings followed through the years. And then my mom came here in 2005. And I think growing up, we moved around so many times. I was raised by hardworking immigrants. My dad used to work for McDonald's and he worked for a warehouse making $6.75 an hour. And home ownership, and my mom was a KitchenAid. So she was actually working for a skilled nursing facility in the, dietary department. And home ownership was just not even possible for them. I mean, paying rent was even difficult. Like they had to be strategic. Like we lived in a cosmetic fixer in downtown San Jose. And I remember we had the opportunity to rent a 3-bedroom house for $1,000 a month. And my parents couldn't even afford that. So I remember my sister and I were in one living room. My brother was in the other living room. My parents took one of the rooms and the other two, they were renting out to make $600 from rent and pay $400 a month for them. And homeownership was just not even possible. They were just trying to make ends meet. We even experienced living in a garage, right? So really, really humble beginnings. And when I started like working, graduating from college, got my MBA, and I said that one day, like my parents are going to be homeowners, regardless of how old they are. And I think real estate allowed me to do that. In 2022, I surprised my parents. They were crying and it was just so emotional for them. I bought them, like we could have bought a single family house in Vacaville, but they wanted to stay in the Bay Area. So I got them like a 2-bedroom condo in Milpitas and surprised them with that. And I think it goes full circle because a lot of my clients tend to, like when I ask people, hey Ed, why did you choose to work with me? The response is not, I chose to work with you because you're a great negotiator and you're a great realtor. People will usually say, I chose to work with you because I believe in your values and I'm inspired by your stories. So as realtors, we must always stick to the core and we must always, really do this profession from our heart. Because in year 2, like we'll get to a point like, oh, I want to do luxury real estate. I want to do $3 to $4 million deals. We should always aspire and have that goal. But for me, I will never, ever turn my back on first-time home buyers. Like I'm never going to be that agent who will say, oh, I just do 2 million and above. I have the ability to, like, we do 2 million, 3 million, $4 million transactions, but I'm never going to turn my back on why we do what we do. Like, for me, like when I get to serve someone who has taken 10 years just to save for a down payment, those are very special closings to me, right? When I get to meet somebody who just immigrated here from another country 3 years ago, and they were able to save up and buy their first house, even if it's 500,000, even if it's 600,000, I know they worked so hard to get to that point. And those are very, very special closings to me.
That's amazing. I mean, first off, again, obviously you've accomplished so much. The fact that you surprised your parents with a condo. I think I surprised my parents with a cake once. So I think you're the much better son.
I mean, if you baked it, Spencer, then it's.
I didn't even bake it. I went to Ralph's. No, but as we're closing up, I have 2 questions for you. One thing which I want you, if you don't mind sharing your goal now, because I know you had a goal to make $1 million. What's your goal now? Because I think that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So, this industry is a blessing for everyone watching. I always say that in this industry, what someone will take 15 years to earn, you can earn in 1 year. But you must never take that for granted, right? It's not all about money, right? Like it's great. It's a good thing. Of course, we have like income goals, but it's about the impact that you make with that, right? Like
Mhm.
I always put myself on check. Like right now in this 1 year, I bought 100 Tiffany boxes. And I told myself that for every Tiffany box that I give, so the way that I give the Tiffany boxes, like during this remote year, is if someone refers me a real estate client, they get a Tiffany box. If they're a new client of mine in real estate, they get a Tiffany box, or if they're a new consulting client. And for every box that I give, I'm actually providing a 1 year scholarship to someone in the Philippines from one of the most underserved communities. So for us, again, it's all about the heart and the passion of this profession. If you're making all of that money, how are you making an impact with it? Like, are you changing the lives of the people you love? Are you giving back to the community? What charitable things are you doing to kind of make an impact? So it's a blessing, right? What people will make in 15 years, you could make in real estate in 1 year if you really master your craft, but just go back and continue to make an impact. But now my goal, I want to scale Level Up Real Estate Consulting. I'm so blessed to be a part of Side and to be one of their main coaches. Like I really, really love the platform and I love the community that we all get to be a part of. So one of my goals now is growing and scaling Level Up Real Estate Consulting. Now I've had 40 students go through that coaching program. I still want to continue selling because I want to be that coach that will always be in the field. I'm traveling now, but oh my gosh, yesterday I was negotiating for 11 hours. I didn't even sleep. I took like a nap, but it's part of it. But now it's systems and processes that allows me to work remotely as well. But I want to get to that point and where I have sold $1 billion in real estate. And I think my goal is to be at that 1 billion mark tied to like individually, right? Not team volume or anything. So $1 billion in real estate sold by the time I turn 45. And I think that's when I'll...
How old are you?
I'm 33. 12 more years.
You have plenty.
12?
You have plenty of time.
What a slacker, man. Well, you're waiting for 12 years. I want to talk next year at this time. I want you to talk to you on your private 747 or whatever. So, all right. So,
wait, Spencer, wait, I've got one. I really want, like, the way that you say the real estate is a blessing, it is. And we do a lot of work to get there. Unfortunately, I think a lot of TV shows glamorize what we do. And there's a massive amount of hard work and time commitment. And like you said, systems and process and trust of the systems that you put into play. What are 3 things that you wish you had known during your first year or starting out that somebody listening to this can hang their hat on and say, okay, he said that I should pay attention to this or I should ignore this other thing so I can, get to that point. What are 3 things in that kind of category that you would like to share? Yeah.
I will say that time management is everything is number 1. So for someone, and these are things I wish I would have known, but I realized it really fast and I made shifts. Work-life balance is really important, and it's so nice. Like through the years, you'll realize that that's really, really possible. But stick to your calendar. Make sure your time management is good. I would say that's number 1. Number 2, find a good mentor. For me, like I was really blessed. Kevin, my gosh, like, I think it's so different when someone says, like, I'm going to take you under my wing, right? But Kevin really helped me, like, through my first 5 transactions. He's still a very good mentor and a very good friend of mine. I'm so grateful for that guy. He's been a really, really great mentor. And I don't think I wouldn't have been able to be where I'm at without his, mentorship. So find a good mentor is number 2. And number 3, there's this quote that, you don't eat the fruit, like, I forgot what it is, but something to do with like you
don't eat the fruit the day you plant the seeds.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. You don't eat the fruit that the day that you plant the seed. I was like, I wrote it down. So whatever in real estate, whatever you are doing now, you're going to see the impact 3 months later. So you just have to keep doing your activity. I always say that conversion might not be something you can control right away, but activity is something you can control now. So focus on the activity and the conversion will follow.
I think that's super important because a lot of people don't make it in the industry because it is very almost feast or famine until you get your systems and processes. And like you said, you commit to it and you hold yourself accountable. Ed, I'd love for you to plug where people can find you on social media, learn about your level up coaching. Where can we find you?
Yeah, so the best way is to follow me on Instagram. My @handle is Barreto, Barreto _25. And all of my content will be there, about Level Up and how we could partner together. Thank you both so much.
That's great.
This is awesome. Thank you for sharing your story and the tactical, practical takeaways, which I think are key. We, as always, we will put, the link to everything in the show notes. Would love for you to send over that info because that is just so much gold, and to share it and to be open with it. I love it. So thank you for having this conversation with us.
Yeah, thank you, Ed.
Of course. Thanks, Hillary. Thanks, Spencer. This has been so awesome. Bye.
And we'll see you on another episode of Own It.
Okay, bye.
Join us in 2 weeks for our conversation with Christine Milkovich, co-founder of the Milkovich team and director of social and membership for the LGBTQ+ Real Estate Alliance of Western Washington. She is a powerhouse, and you don't want to miss this episode.